We'll go for chapter number 10, Formulation and Implementation of Strategy. Audio not available. Let me check. Yes. So, formulation and implementation of strategy. First, we'll go for a small introduction, like then we'll jump into the topic. So, already we have discussed with formulation is important, and also not only formulation is important, it has to be particularly implemented in the right way. Okay. Formulation is from the top management level. Implementation is the bottom manager's role. And when we go for the intermediate level, the business managers or other the middle level, okay, they are the intermediaries where they clearly bridge the gap between this level and that level. Okay, so if it's just formulated, it is not giving guarantee for implementation, which means you have to properly plan for implementation also. Probably beginning of the session, beginning of SN, we were defining strategy and we started saying that it's nothing but planning. Planning is different and strategy is different. Here, I have formulated the strategy and now I plan to execute the strategy. Here I can say it's planning. I cannot say it's strategy. And sometimes what happens is for a strategy to be successful, obviously the implementation has to be properly done, or you can say that it should be strategically implemented so that we get a right success rate. Okay. Usually, what will be the complexities in the task of implementation? Maybe how it's going to adjust the organizational culture. Probably we need to know that resource mobilization, right? So how we are going to match with the resources what we have. That's what we call as strategic match. So to a large extent, it depends on how the task of change management is created. Please highlight. See, whenever I go for defining a strategy, definitely in some way or the other, we are going to find or we are going to create a change in the organization structure. So that change might be reflecting our organization culture or all the things might be changing. Sometimes what happens is the employees may not be satisfied. Probably, for example, I have a team of employees where all the 10 employees will be addressing to one person X. He's a TL. Okay. Now, because of the strategy designing, I'm just segregating the hierarchy of the roles here. And among this 10, I break into two groups, five in one and five in another. See, so far, all the five were treated as equal. Am I right? Because they are all reporting to Mr. X. Okay. Now, what happens is I'm dividing into two groups, five and five. And among that five, I'm choosing one as the leader, where the remaining four will report to him. And here also, one as the leader, where the remaining four will report to him. Now, what happens is, so far, we were all same. We go to cafe shop together. Okay. We have coffee together. But while we come for reporting, we are not ready to report to you because the equality now is differing. Okay, hierarchy level is differing. This will be a change brought. If because of this strategy definition we are bringing this change, then obviously we have to worry that how far this will be carried out. This becomes a big task in that is big complexity in implementation. Okay, this is just one example only. So probably when we go for implementation, we have to check all the decisions, choices, and all the range of activities what are all covered here. And the problem here is everything is interrelated. Not only that, we have to integrate the people, we have to integrate the structure, we have to integrate the process. And when we say organizational adjustment, probably sometimes we need to match them all to the strategy. I have defined a strategy, I have to match the strategy, then only can go for successful implementation. I am not properly matching the matching with the strategy means it may not be helpful for me. So based of defining the strategy, so based of mapping the strategy itself. So what we have to do? First point. Resources have to be mobilized and allocated. That's what called as resource mobilization. Because I may be having different products. For each and every product mix, I have to clearly allocate the resources. First thing. Second, functional strategies and policies are to be properly designed. Functional strategy is belonging to the lower level, right? So for each and every function, that is for HR, will be defining a different policy. Different strategy, so different policy. Likewise, we go for accounts department, we go for finance department, we go for costing department, we go for quality control department. For each and every department, the strategy is different, the policy is different. So it has been particularly designed. Third point, sometimes we have to change the organization structure. So as I was telling, usually we go for the three structure, top level, middle level, and the bottom level. Sometimes what happens is we might be thinking, why is this middle level? Actually, these persons are whom pick up from the top level. So we just remove this level. Directly, if you remove this level, it will not be like a three-tier structure. It's going to be a two-tier structure, and it will not look exactly like a triangle. Obviously, we can just divide like this. This is not top management. This is not implementers. So we'll not have something called as middle level. So sometimes this organization structure is needed. Actually, from this and shifting to this is quite easy. But shifting from here to here is different because the hierarchy differs and my responsibility or answerability or to whom I am answerable is different. Okay, because somebody comes in this level, they'll be worrying who will be reporting under who. So that will be a problem. Okay. Then fourth one, strategic supportive culture may be developed. So this is my strategy, how I'm going to develop the culture accordingly. Fifth one, sometimes I have to give the rewards and incentive plans also. So what we do here is we give like performance linked measures. We give like extra points for them. We say like incentive plans may be like giving monetary benefits. Rewards also may be monetary benefits. Sometimes non-monetary reward is also there. We define as employee of the month. We put it in the notice board, your photo and other things. Okay, you feel proud. Okay, I have done so much this time. Okay, so that may be helpful. Restructuring, re-engineering, and sometimes we require to do for redesigning also. Okay, so that's a broader introduction. 10.1 is almost carrying 50% of this content, where we'll discuss different strategies and what are the things needed and how we are going to implement it. So we are going to discuss four strategies in particular. First is production strategy. This is completely of OM part. The remaining syllabus. OM paper is completely covered over there. Okay. So we are done with OM first class, right? So we have gone for the four detailed bird's eye view of the content. Then everything will be covered over here. Okay. Second is supply chain, which means logistic. Third, we'll discuss on marketing. Obviously, we'll play a little role on digital marketing also. And fourth is HR, which means we plan for rewards or incentive plans or performance linked measures or whatever. So, introduction is nothing but possession of resources. When we say resources, we include people also. It's not just it's guaranteeing the strategic success, not possession alone, properly allocating also. Okay. What is strategic capability? Please highlight this heading strategic capability. See, hereafter we are doing SM. So whenever you talk about role of managers, we talk about role of managers as strategic advisors. The managers will be treated as strategic advisors. When we talk about success, we are talking about strategic success. When we talk about implementation of plan, it's not implementation of plan, it's implementation of strategy. Okay, whenever you find a term, before that you add strategies. Likewise, you have the capability, now you include strategic capability, which means you're going to talk about resource mobilization, you're going to talk about gaining competitive advantage, you're going to worry about the environment, which is dynamic and complex, everything will be covered. Okay. So when you say strategic capability, you're going to say or you're going to define how the sources will be deployed. Deploy means allocated in such a way strategically, managed and controlled so that you create competences to run the business effectively. Is it okay? So this is what you call as strategic capability. I request you to highlight its definition. Okay. So we particularly go for production strategy. See, we discuss with all these headings. What are the factors we have to decide when you go for production strategy? Look at the capacity. Okay, capacity planning, capacity requirement, plant location, plant layout, product or service design. That's unit 3 in OM. Okay. Work system, work study, method study, motion study, then degree of automation, maybe related to quality control also, and extent of vertical integration. All these are the factors which will affect my strategy. Okay, so these are the factors influencing. So which are significant or what are significant means what are the plans and policies you define and that are related to the production system. Probably the fourth strategy we are going to discuss here is HR strategy, human resource. If I'm talking about degree of automation, if it is 100% automated, then the HR strategy will be defined in a different way. Am I right? We need not have a probably we need only a handsome number of people. Okay, we need not have a bunch of people over there because it's 100% automated. Okay, as I was discussing in IT and all, now most of the small errors are being corrected by AI itself. So instead of 100 people working in that department, now it's only 10 people working. See, because of degree of automation, because of the tech development, now the HR strategy is ulta, which means what? It's reversed. Okay. So, and they deal with vital issues, which means what is the capability of the organization, how we are going to achieve. So they'll go directly for the vital issues. Now, how we are going to implement based on the factors. We'll take the account of the production system, what we are executing here, and we check on the operation capability not just influencing today or tomorrow, which has a long lasting influence. Please highlight. See, whenever we define strategy, we are saying this is a long planning. Okay, when we say this long term planning, the factors which were long time affecting me only will be taken as the factors. Not all the factors will be considered. Okay, and how I'm going to implement the strategies and achieve the objectives. What does the production strategy determine? Very, very important seems to be a normal line like, but please be careful to list out all these points. When what does a production strategy determine? How and where a product or service will be manufactured? You are going to manufacture. You're going to do 100% automated, or you're going to make it as handcraft works. Can, what is the level of vertical integration? What do you mean by vertical integration? This is the process. I may produce my product and go to the market, sell by my own self. I may have my own showrooms. Else, this is forward integration. Okay, this is forward integration. When I go for in case like I have a coffee estate, I don't have a coffee estate. I'm having only this coffee production unit. I buy the estate farms, coffee estates, which means that raw material is purchased not from the other supplier. Raw material is brought inside from my own estate, which means this is nothing but backward integration. Okay, I'm doing milk dairy business, Arun ice creams, etc. Okay, this is my Arun ice cream factory where I make ice creams. Okay, I open an exclusive Arun ice cream showroom, which means this is a forward integration. Okay, I have my own dairy farm, which means it's a backward integration because for this factory, this is a raw material, milk. Milk is a main source for creating my product, finished goods. So where is this milk brought from? From my own farm, which means it's a backward integration. Okay. And how I'm going to sell this finished goods, which means ice creams of different colors, different pack, different tastes, etc. I'm going to put it in the supermarket or I'm going to sell it on my own. Okay, I'm going to sell it on my own. Probably I can get it from other supermarkets also. I open my own exclusive showrooms, which means it is a forward integration. See, for Arun ice creams we have, right? Iboka we have, Arun ice cream we have, Quality Boss we have. Okay, Amul we have, Quality Boss we have. We have exclusive showroom for Quality Boss. I don't think so. Arun is available, Amul is available. For these small shopping, BKF, the local brands are not, I don't know how far they, but it's available like Veda, BKF, and recently emerging with Milky Mist ice creams. So exclusive showrooms are available with Milky Mist, and even in small villages or like the highways also you can find Milky Mist. Earlier it was not available. Again, Milky Mist, I'm talking about Milky Mist curd was available earlier, but I'm talking about Milky Mist yogurts and Milky Mist ice creams. We have exclusive showrooms. Probably when you return home, you just see all the boats and boom. Okay, right? Then second, level of vertical integration and deployment of physical resources. How I'm going to allocate the resources? Okay, physical resources. Okay, not the intangible cases, tangible resources. And how I'm going to maintain the relationship with the suppliers. All these has to be considered to determine what is my production strategies. So we'll go for note. It deals with the optimum level of technology. Yes, please highlight. Whenever we talk about the forecasting demand or all other things, we'll talk about optimality. Okay, whenever we do business, we talk about optimality. Optimality is the only solution we can expect. Okay, not too much of profit, not completely loss. So we are balancing the situation. That's what we call as optimality. Okay, and we are discussing here with optimal level of technology also. Okay, production strategy and PLC. What's PLC? Product lifecycle. We have discussed already this, okay. And we are introducing this flexible manufacturing system also. So when the sale of the product increases, what we do, the production volume also will be increasing. Probably as job to job or lot sizes may be differing, batch to batch or whatever it is. So if you plan for this flexible manufacturing system, it gives way to efficiency. So according to this concept, if the product becomes standardized to a commodity over time in conjunction with the increased demand. Okay. Sometimes we have to go for the switchover to strategy. What do you mean by switchover strategies? Instead of following the traditional mass production strategy, we go for continuous improvement production strategy. We'll not go for the traditional way. We say the term is conventional way. Okay, traditional to probably this one is nothing but conventional. Conventional is a general word because we are using this production. We say this continuous improvement. Okay, probably you just name a product, a water bottle or a pen or something like that. How much points you give out of 10? You're planning to give as 7. So which means we have to still more increase 3 points. Am I right? To reach this 10. Once it becomes 10 by 10, you should not get satisfied and sit at home. What you have to do? You have to make this as 11. You work for 11 by 11. It's now 10 by 11. You work for 11 by 11. Now you have reached 11 by 11. Now you make it as 12 and you work for 12 by 11, which means you continuously improve your product. That's about the production strategies. Okay. So what's the reason? Obviously, we are in the competitive industry. So obviously, we have to work on this. Okay. How it is done? You use the dedicated transporters. Okay. Mass production systems and actually an excellent method because when we go for mass production, we go for economies of scale. So we reduce the fixed costs when we go for economies of scale. So large number of low cost standard goods will be available. So when we go for manufacturing in bulk, okay, probably like sugar or cement or something like that, we are making standardized goods. Okay. Also related to services also is included. And the workers are expected to learn what was assigned to them. So you can just somewhat relate to HR strategy. The workers are expected to learn. So you are doing the same thing repeated means everything will be known by the worker. In fact, to say so, the top management may not be knowing many things, but the workers will be knowing each and every bit of the production strategy. Okay, so this happens. Even this happens in garments also. Okay, textile goes in rolls and rolls, tons and tons of material. Okay, so, depending on the quality, also you can say, obviously, when you go for quality, we have to go for repetitiveness of the task and also work the close supervision. This is traditional system. Okay, when we go for continuous improvement system, actually, this is a thing developed by Japanese firms, developed by Edward Deming, but perfected by Japanese. Okay, they say zero. Again, zero defect. Um, but they will not make one extra product. For example, if I go for you're purchasing some AC units, like okay, before you give your brand name, the AC units will be purchased. If you are purchasing 10 units, actually they'll be delivering 2 units extra. Which means they'll be delivering 12 units. But they'll be selling 2 units only, 10 units only. The remaining two will not be sold. Why this 2 units is given is it's not a sale. When you say it's 10, only it's meant as 12. Because in case it faces any defects, the spare parts will be exchanged. You may ask, now for 10 ACs, only 2 ACs are given for spare parts, which means 20% may be the defective. 2 by 20. Okay, 2 by 20 means what? 2 by 10. Okay, 2 by 10 is what? 20% may be defective. So in this 10 ACs, 10 AC units, 2 AC is given means 20% is defective. So any defective happens, this will be less. But what our people is doing is they're selling all the 12 units. Then you go for the spare parts availability. They say no, it's not all. What we do? We throw this AC for 1000 rupees, 1500 to buy units. This is actually what is happening. Okay. Yes, so obviously companies what they do is to improve this production process, they go for cross-functional. What do you mean by cross-functional? HR is over here, okay, and we have costing, we have production, we have accounts, we have finance. From here to here, from here to here, from here to here, we have cross-functional. Okay, and role of the manager, he should not be just as a boss, he should be a coach. He had 30 கொடுத்து வரணும். He should be like a coach. Okay. Which means there are some 100 or 500 employees working under him. For each and every employee, see, are all human beings, not machines. They're all human beings. So each and every person will be slightly differing in some performance. Okay, somebody will be performing clearly well, somebody will be performing in a different way. So you have to give such a proper training to train them in such a way so that you give them complete efficiency. Okay. So this result is not only for standard goods and measures, but also to get the superior quality of it. How are you going to go for continuous improvement? We have to check the workers' experience, workers' knowledge, how you could solve the problems, how you can go for tighten the variances. Variances not what gap, the defects, okay, and reduce the errors. So here is a small discussion relating to an automobile industry now. So automobile industry, as we are discussing with Toyota, you remember Toyota goes for just-in-time inventory. So directly it comes to the unit, it directly fed into the machine, and it comes as a finished product. Okay, we are not going to stop it. And also for service organization, probably some companies they are like Club Mahindra, a resort company. It's not only for manufacturing but also for production system. They are not probably providing service like also it's applicable. What this Mahindra is doing is they are doing this customization work. Okay, how you are going to plan your vacations and other things and all. Okay, so there's something called as test in Club Mahindra. So if you are a member of Club Mahindra, you might be knowing a separate division is looking after this customer. So they are completely giving some alternatives. Like, okay. Yes, this is always an issue of sustainability. We have Mahindra and Mahindra. We are going for sustainability, which means sustainability is we protect the environment. So 2030, we are planning for zero carbon neutral. Okay. So what's the cost we have to check for? Because when you go for manufacturing companies, we have to check how far I can be able to do it in the future also. Today is fine, but I have to maintain the same quality tomorrow also, after 5 years, after 10 years. Okay, I have to. This leave of this Mahindra and Mahindra, Audi, BMW, this ambassador car. Once a period of time, if you own an ambassador car, Zamindar no. Okay. Okay. Nowadays also you can find some ambassador cars and now that's Batmini and Ford and all we have. Okay. Ford is not the latest Ford EcoSport. I'm talking about the Ford Icon and other varieties and all. Now supercars. Okay. And other cars where the gear system will not be below your hand level. It will be above the steering. The steer wheel will be there, it will be above it. Okay, that type of cars is also there. That's luxury car. Okay. See, the manufacturing companies, they have to check what are the resources and if whether it's available or not. Sometimes it is scarce and sometimes cost-wise it might be increasing. So that has to be checked. And obviously you have to go for optimality in the cost. So you go for checking the minimizing the cost and other things and all. See, minimizing the cost is not reducing the quality. Okay, I think giving this type of a body for the car might be helpful, but it's very costly. So I may lower the strengthening or the strengthen of the steel body. So what happens? Obviously, the quality is reduced. So this happens. Okay. So example, oil, fresh water, these are all the scarce resources. Talking about global warming, how we are going to reduce it, and eco-friendly technologies and all. Okay, probably plan for R&D for not only for innovation, also for eco-friendly technologies. Okay. So one strategy over. Okay, production strategy over. We have to go for supply chain. Can you please go to here? Second strategy, supply chain strategy. How we are going to manage the flow of inputs. Inputs mean not only raw materials and also other components from the suppliers. So the supplier area is over here, and you're going to bring the components inside your factory. This is your main factory into the company's production process. What is your intention? The EOQ model to minimize the inventory holding and maximize inventory turn. Okay, so two reasons. Please highlight two reasons. Okay. Here also we have to discuss about materials management. So obviously when we talk about materials management, we have to discuss about production marketing. See, we cannot say this strategy is not related with other strategy. Everything is interlinked. Okay. So only when we say that the supplier is properly supplying the raw materials to me, I can plan properly for my demand management. Else I cannot plan for. Okay. So definition encompasses the activities necessary to get inputs and components to a production facility through the production process out through a distribution system to the end user. This is the actual definition part. The earlier one we discussed as a definition only, but it's like an introduction. But you can take this as the actual definition because in this we are defining as two objectives. One is to minimize inventory, and another one is maximize inventory turnover, holding and minimizing holding and maximizing turnover. Here we are introducing this one term where it's not only applicable only to this. This is my factory and supplier. It is also applicable to the going outside market also. Get to the end user. Okay, so what is important is you have to effectively manage this one. So that's an illustration how a manufacturing company is planning here. So materials and transportation cost account to 50 to 70% of its revenues. So even if they go for a small reduction in this cost, they have a substantial impact on the probability also. How they are going to minimize this one. Okay. Not in the competitive market, you have to reduce the material cost by 3%. It's usually much easier than increasing sales revenue by 30%. Yes, obviously that happens. Okay. So we have this concept what is just-in-time inventory. This also directly follows from OI. So just-in-time means are scheduled. Please highlight this word, components or raw materials or whatever it is, scheduled to arrive at the manufacturing plant just in time to enter directly to the production process or to have goods arrive at the retail store only when stock is almost depleted. I'm not for extra stock at all, but I've seen in visited some supermarkets, seen in the racks where we can find only 5 or 7 or 10 packets. Okay, they will not have a stock inside. See, nowadays there is no concept for the stock room or godown room. Everything is being displayed in the markets. It's very less quantity you can find the stocks. Okay, probably if you're going to buy Maggi noodles, probably you can find some 20 or 25 packets arranged in a rack. If you go inside the godown, you'll not find the packets because it's not necessary. Okay, and all, obviously this one also Milky Mist I was telling. Nowadays I can see wherever I go, I can see a truck carrying the Milky Mist yogurts, ice creams, and curds and all. What they do is directly they go to the retail showrooms like supermarkets or some petty shops, like directly they put it in the refrigerators. They cannot hold. See, how can they maintain stock? I'm ordering some 50. Yes. So when the stock is getting almost depleted, then only I go for. Yes. So when the stock is getting almost depleted, then only I go for order because I'm not going to maintain the stock. Okay. This goes okay. Benefits is it improves the efficiency, design to economize on inventory holdings costs, warehousing, and storage costs. So there's a link with Walmart and its competitors. You can just have a quick glance. Can you please? Continuing for, let me go directly for JIT, how is now considered as a profitability model. When you go for JIT, reduces the need for working capital. Because there is less inventory, you're not going to hold the stock, so finance is also reduced. Fixed capital to finance storage space is also reduced. So as I was telling, if you're going to buy instead of 50 cups, curd cups, we're going to buy 500 cups. Then I need to have extra refrigerator for storing the remaining 450 cups. Not necessary. Okay, instead, what is the Milky Mist company doing is daily providing you the supplies. Daily, you can find the truck going by your roadside to fill all the emptiness. Okay, to replenish your stock. So this is reducing capital needs. This is increasing capital turnover, and by extension, boosts the return on invested capital because you are not unnecessarily going to invest in other cases, right? But there is a limitation because if you are not going to talk about the buffer stock, if there is only 50 cups you have and you're about to sell all the cups and there is no cup, zero in the fridge, the refrigerator, what happens? The next day I'll not go buy in the shop. You agree with me? I go to the shop, one day I check, they say stock over, madam. Second day I go, they say stock over, madam. Third day I'll not go to the shop because it fixes in my mind that the stock will get over. Okay. What I do is I change the shop. So this is actually a limitation. So actually, there's a limitation for not holding this buffer stock. Okay, actually, the shop owner what he has to do is if he finds that all the 50 cups are sold, then he has to order for 10 more cups to adjust the demand. Okay, so buffer stock actually will help the company to prepare for shortages or inputs. See, we are talking about the company point of view, so we are talking as inputs. Okay, if I'm talking as a retailer, I'll be talking about the finished goods. Okay, situation to situation it differs. Okay, so probably there may be some disruption among suppliers also. Yeah, this is a beautiful component once asked in the exam. See, because of the labor dispute or we find the strike and all right, lorry strike or other strike, because see the product is ready in my factory. Who has to supply it? The truck has to supply it. And all the lorry drivers are doing strike for giving bonus for Diwali, extra bonus for Diwali, or something like that. And my suppliers are not moving from my factory. Then obviously the demand is now damaged. So this happens. And probably because if I have the buffer stock, a company can respond quickly to increases in demand because I am having the stock. Okay. Actually, there are limitations and there are no limitations also we can say. So how are you going to overcome it? You source inputs from multiple suppliers. Okay. Effectively utilize the resources and you go for managing day-to-day operations in the long-term objective. And so these are the points you can check. Summary. Plans and policies related to operations planning and control. Probably you can plan for aggregate production planning. Can talk about material supply. You can talk about inventory management. Okay, that's about EOQ model, cost, quality management. How you're going to maintain the plant and equipment and all these can you see in case you're having a plant which is very old, almost in the depreciating stage, and it is not working on a sudden, all on a sudden. Okay. You're properly maintaining it, but it's almost like in a declining stage. Like I'm talking about the machinery. Okay, the machine is not suddenly working. What happens? The just-in-time inventory, all the machinery comes in, all the goods comes in, everything is full. So you have to properly maintain the plant and equipment also. Just in time is not only for talking about inventory coming inside the factory. It's also properly maintaining a plant and equipment also. If you're not properly maintaining a plant and equipment, then it's gone. Just in time inventory is total absolute waste only. Okay. So you have to provide proper operating and control also. Probably you're translating the objectives into reality. Right? So this is about the third strategy is marketing strategy. It's one of the beautiful concepts. When we say marketing, it's not just selling the product outside. Actually, we are beautifully presenting the product to the market. See, when we were talking about Mahindra and Mahindra's digital strategy, okay, that is the marketing strategy. Actually, it's bringing the picture first of the product of the automobile. Then it is bringing the main one sample automobile test for a test drive to the market. Okay, so what it's trying to do is, see, I've seen this automobile ads and all. It's beautifully designed. Probably if you go for some photography shoots and all, they particularly focus on particular area. Probably if you talk about flower related photographs, or if you go for landscape photographs. For landscape photography, you have to go for a wider angle. Okay, you have to cover the wider angle so that everything will be covered, all the different shades will be covered. If you go for particular flower or something like that, you have to focus more. If you go for this automobile photography, you might have seen they'll show only the tire, they'll show only the side body parts. They show only the interiors or the mirrors. They show only the how the body parts are being shaped. You know that the body parts shaped are not just to give a modern look. The body parts shaped are such a way designed that you should feel comfort when you sit inside. Again, you might have sensed that if you sit inside a car, you might be feeling like you're so much tightly fitted into the car. Sometimes it looks so spacious inside, like boot space where you keep your legs and all. So, when we talk about marketing strategy, we are not just talking about how we are selling the product, how beautifully you present the product in the market. That's about marketing strategies. So, it refers to the position related to market segmentation. Not only that, you have to show how the pricing is done. Again, if you say instead of selling the product for 500, you are planning to sell the product for 1000. You should clearly tell to the salesperson why you're selling this product not for 500 and for 1000. See, if the salesperson or the sales executive is not satisfied for this 1000 rupees, means how do you sell it? Say, I want to show this water bottle, saying that I can buy this for 700 rupees. Okay, first I myself should get satisfied why I have to sell this for 700. Okay, if I'm not satisfied, how am I going to recommend it? Likewise, the sales executive, he must get himself satisfied that this product is not worth 500, but instead it's 1000. So, what's the beauty of the product? So, that's about pricing. Pricing is not measuring in terms of money, measuring the value of in terms of. Okay. So, promotion is how you're promoting, how you're advertising it, and product design also matters, and how you are going to distribute it. That's also marketing strategy because you have to go for proper supply chain strategy also over here when you talk about distribution. Some aspects far obvious, but it will be having great impact. Less obvious, but will not have a greater impact at all. No, which means no less impact. Will have greater impact. Okay. So the relationship like the customer defection rates may be there, cost structure, unit cost, all this will be related to less obvious. So it's less obvious, but it will greatly have an impact on it. But this one is fairly obvious. Aggressive pricing. See, probably you might be seeing this branded handbags and all. Okay, how many use handbags? So not only handbags, backpack bags, wildcat, Puma. Okay, so when it goes for wildcat bags, a normal bag with no partition zips, it costs around like 3,000 or 5,000 rupees. I'm just wondering why it costs so much. But you use it for 1 year, it maintains the same quality. Okay, if you buy the same instead of this in other brands or non-branded for 300, for one time you can use it. Okay, promotion also differs and advertising also differs. It's fairly obvious, but it's having a great impact. Okay. Two angles we had to discuss. One is customer defection rates. That's what we call as churn rates. That is percentage of companies customer who defect every year to competitors, which means what? What defect means what? Shifting the brand. From branding, I shift to branding. Okay. You know this Maggie noodle story? Actually, this Maggi noodles, one period of time, probably just during the pandemic or before, just before pandemic, the serious pandemic effect, right? So they stopped selling this Maggi noodles because there was an issue saying that it was having this cancer selling agent. So it was not available in the market. It went to the High Court, the food related authorities and food supply. This we have this code like FSCAI. Okay, so it went to that authorities. It was saying that it had a cancer causing agent and it was stopped for a little while. Then very for short period only it was stopped. Some 3 months only stopped. And once the judgment came, no cancer causing agent is found in Maggi noodles. You won't believe the very next day itself, in all the markets, you can see the Maggi noodle packets hanging there, like Toranam, garlanding. See, now also, not only here, you go to any state, you can find Maggi noodles. Apart from that, Sunfeast noodles is also there. But Maggi noodles, probably because of the yellow tone, is so attractive. Okay. See how the packets will be hanged. There'll be a rope or some thread will be there, and it will be hanging like the coffee powder packets, the tea powder packets, all small packets along with Maggi. Okay, see, why I'm telling about this one is even though it has so many issues, so many filed a complaint also, a public litigation was filed, but even then it was able to match the very next day itself because it was ready for the delivery. Okay, whichever state you go, either Tamil Nadu or you go for other South Indian states or you go extreme north side where you find only ice climates, snow climates, you can find mangroves. Okay, it has gone like a normal brand. Even to the village side you go, you find Maggi noodles, not other noodles packet. Only Maggi noodles you get. So it happens like a normal food. Like okay, how the defection rates are determined? Probably. How you going to determine? My customers are loyal. Even if you increase the rates, the customers will be loyal. So it becomes like a function of how you are going to assess the customers. That is the company's ability to satisfy the customers. Defection rates and cost often are related, but most of the time we treat this as one-time cost. Once we give some like discount pricing, like probably discount on product or discount on price, whatever it's. Once they get satisfied and they buy my product, it's only one-time cost. After that, they are going to be loyal to you. So they'll buy your product only. Okay, how many are using Pepsodent? Don't go personal, just casually. If you're using Pepsodent, how long you will use Pepsodent and not go to Colgate? Okay, probably Colgate or Pepsodent, I may say like 50% is using Colgate and 50%, 50-50 is there. If I'm using Pepsodent, how long it will take for me to go to Colgate? No, I'll not change. Because if I smile, I should give a good smile. Okay. If I'm using Colgate, how many I'm going to go for Pepsodent? No. But one point of time, there will be a change. When I go to a shop, I go to another shop, I go to another shop, I'm not finding Pepsodent. Automatically, I go to the next one, which hits me Colgate. If Pepsodent is not available, it will go for Colgate. So what is the one-time fixed cost? Once I buy Pepsodent, I will buy Pepsodent only. Okay. In your house, there are 4 members. Okay. You might be seeing this. 4 members will be using 4 different types of soaps. Am I right? Okay. One is using green color. I'm not mentioning the brand, okay? Because I don't want to go too personal. One is using green color soap. Okay, you take any brand of green color. One is using this yellow color soap, like Pierce. You just go for your own brand. One is using this white color, like Vivel. Okay. One is using this red color, Dettol. Okay. One is using this Dettol, what color? Some brown color or something like that. Life by red color. 4 members using 4 different soaps. But they mostly one or two, not more than that. Probably if you have some elders or very big age old people, they may be using powder. Okay, that may be there. And mostly one or two brands in paste, not more than that. But when you go for soap, all brands will be there. Okay, if you open the rack, you can find all the brand soaps. It looks like almost like a mini supermarket. Okay, see, it's like a one-time fixed cost. You're bringing the customer inside. Once they come inside, you're satisfied. Okay. You're using Vivo phone. Okay. You're using Samsung phone. Next time, which phone you buy? So just think your phones are damaged. I'm not cursing. I'm just discussing. Okay. Just think your phones are damaged. Okay. Which phone you will go next time? The same Vivo, which are now you are using Vivo, will go for the same Vivo? Might not be. You will go for same Samsung? Might not. Sometimes you'll be having this thought, why don't we go for other brand? Not sometimes, most of the times, why don't we try the other brand? With the same cost, with the same quality, with all the same camera pixels, quality and all. If it's available in OnePlus or Redmi, let me go over there. Why do I need to go for Vivo and Samsung? Or you might be thinking, these three in the family are having one brand. Let me go for different one. Okay, mobile camera use பண்ணி பார்ப்போம். நல்லா வந்து அதெல்லாம் photo பிடிச்சிப்போம். Okay, usually we do this, right? So it's like one time fixed cost. Most of the customers that we try to bring in, we bring in because of giving some discount or giving some more specific quality like. Either that may be on pricing or that may be on cost. Okay, probably if you go for pricing, we give a discount. Probably you get this Independence Day discount at all. Right? Else you go for, you buy the product, you buy the phone, get the earbuds free. Okay, music stuff or some Bluetooth free, something like that. Not Bluetooth headphone free, something like that. Okay. So some examples: administrative cost and cost of subsidy may be there. So for a wireless service company, for a new subscriber, for opening a new account will be an administrative cost, but cost of subsidy for maintaining the handset of the new subscriber will be there. Cost of advertising and promoting. You have to attract the new subscribers. That's why you're doing it. Fixed cost probably when a company is planning to retain a customer, you have to give some other benefits for him or quality issues that should not be faced so that you have to maintain it. And whenever you manage to retain the customer, obviously, probably today you're having 100 customers. After 2 years, you are spending this cost. Again, after 2 years, maybe having 1,000 customers. And your average unit cost will be lower. Definitely, right? So average unit cost is some amount. You divide by 100. Now average unit cost is the amount divided by 1,000. And definitely this is going to be a lower cost one. I'm talking about the average cost, not particular one unit cost, overall average cost. So summary. Then customer loyalty and profit per customer. So when we go for acquiring new customer, it's actually a cost and we name this as high fixed cost, and loss of investment will be there because when they are switching to invest other competitors, other brands. See, actually, we treat customers as our asset. So once the customers are leaving my brand and going to another brand, actually we are losing our investment. So we are losing our asset. That's why they are needing it. So the customers are treated as assets here. Okay. Perfect relationship length of time. More the longer the customer stays with the company, obviously the fixed cost is being spread over. Right. It's like depreciating the asset. You depreciate asset for 5 years or depreciate asset. See, just think the customers as tangible asset. You have the different depreciation models, WDV method, SLM method, and all. Whatever the models, probably you are planning for 5 years. You depreciate for 5 years. Okay. Now I'm having this company, the customers for 10 years, which means your fixed cost is being splitted, segregated over 10 years of time. So that's what meaning. So there is a positive relationship with length of time. More longer the person stays, the customer stays with you, the fixed cost is being spread over. Okay. What are the other factors? Probably you can go for return on investment. Probably if the company is planning to reduce customer defection rate, means they have to plan for investing on more customers also. Because today I have 100 customers, and after 1,000, after 2 years, I'm planning for 1,000 customers. It's just directly 900 customers are included? Definitely not. In this 100, 90 customers might have gone away. Please try to understand. 90 customers might have gone away. But what happens? 990 customers are new now. It's not just exactly 900 have improved. See, I will not say that all the 100 customers are included in this 1,000, right? Is it right? X, Y, and Z are my three major customers when I started my business. After 2 years of business, there are now 1,000 customers with me. But this customers list has these three persons included, need not be. Probably I may not have X, Y, and Z. Please try to understand. I may not have X, Y, and Z. Totally, these three customers are not with me, but I'm having totally 1,000 new customers in this 2 years period of my business time. See, that's what they say on return on investment. When you're trying to go for reducing the customer defection rates, it's not only for reducing the defection rates, not only for that, but we are trying to acquire the customers inside. Is it okay? And you have to go for a free advertisement. Okay, obviously, that was an volume of business. So, what's the key message here is major sources of a lower stock structure goes on defection rates and building customer loyalty. So, it becomes a central component. But how we are going to identify the customers who have defected? Probably they might have given a call and you're not satisfying the customer, you're not giving the proper reasons why have they defected. So that also means find out why they are defected and act on that information. Okay. And application of information system is how the customers are getting defected, why they're not buying your product. So you regularly purchase any online product. Suddenly you just stop for 2 or 3 months. Immediately you'll get a normal, you need not get a call. You get a normal notification. Usually I get, Yamuna, you forgot us for 2 months. Which means I'm not buying online for 2 or 3 months. I might have directly this is the shop. I might be buying. But this is the e-commerce platform where they say that I have not I have purchased this for 2 or 3 months. Or I might have added in the cart. Okay, immediately it says the cart, what the items added in the cart is standing aside for 10 years or 10 days or something like that. So, fourth strategy, human resource strategy, HR, employee, how we treat the customer as a king. Likewise, our customer is asset. Likewise, we treat the employees as a asset. Okay, human asset. So, we have to think about the productivity also. So, we check how far the enterprise is having the efficiency. It depends on employees' productivity. To design about the cost structure, it depends on employees' productivity. To check how far we are profitable, yes, obviously it depends on employees' productivity. So when we go for productivity manufacturing with respect to employees or with respect to sales force or with respect to productivity employees on R&D, for each and every case, there's a small case where you can say for manufacturing employees, it lowers the cost of goods. So obviously, they are working on production. See, HR strategy is where in all the departments we have HR. In supply chain, we have HR. In production, we have HR. That's what they're trying to say. In sales, we have HR. In R&D, also we have. So when we talk about manufacturing side employees, what actually when we talk about cost structure, we are trying to lower the cost of goods sold. Okay. As a percentage of revenues. As a percentage of revenues. When we talk about sales, we will be increasing sales revenues given for level of expenses. And we go for R&D. Actually, it's boosting the percentage of revenues for a particular R&D expenses. Okay. Types of strategy. Usually we go for, I'm not going line by line, okay, it's normal verdicts. Choices would be hiring strategy, training strategy, organizing the workforce into self-managing teams, and linking pay to performance. So we will be dealing with four strategies now. One is how we are going to hire, that's a strategy. Next is you hire, but almost everybody is not going to have some 10 years or 20 years or 15 years experience. Okay, some might be having 2 years experience. So sometimes you go for the qualification for applying the interview and all. They say 2 years qualified, 2 years experience person only can. So when you have this 2 years experience, giving some training, you can manage. Okay, so these is highly qualified persons are not suitable for my industry, okay, for my organization because if they're highly qualified or if they are already having 10, 15 years, 20 years experiences, they will not mold to our environment. That will not be suitable. So what we plan is we go for freshers. We go for some 2 to 3 years experienced person. If we go for higher than that, some 5 years or 10 years, we have to look onto the different levels. Probably those who are looking for promotion, it will be helpful for them, not for everybody. And how we are going to manage the workforce into self-managing teams. So we'll give like different teams and they'll be managing and linking pay to performance, performance linked measures. So first one, hiring strategy. So you give attention while hiring. What are the norms you consider while hiring? I'll check which people or which person is having a positive attitude and work well in teams and interact well. Sometimes it happens like a person will be there who will be alone, independent. He'll be doing in a very versatile manner, but he will not suitable in the working in teams. That's not going to be helpful for me. If that person is having an attitude, he can work in teams, please I can appoint him. Okay, sometimes it happens he should not work in teams. He should be individually skilled person. Okay, independently and individually skilled person. That person will be helpful for me because he'll be having a different idea. He'll not be mingling with other teams, so he'll be uniquely defined. So that person may be helpful for me, especially CEOs. How many CEOs there will be there in my company? Only one CEO. So he should have an specialized skill, experienced skill, so that will be helpful for my organization. Attributes that match the strategic objectives. Okay. Consistency. I have to check with my internal organization what's my culture and what's my strategic priorities. And obviously, if I'm focusing on all these, it will have a It will create a good impact. It will go for customer loyalty. Okay, next is employee training. You need to upgrade the employee skill probably to gain effectively from learning and experimentation. So what we do is employees are given a major input in the production process. Those who are highly skilled can perform tasks faster and more accurately. So we ask them to learn the complex tasks and they associate with the modern production. Is it okay? Third is self-managing team. Actually, it's a beautiful concept. In most of the organizations, they go for self-managing team because it's a flexible workforce. Because a team of 4 persons, they are eligible to work in their own team, another one team, another one team, another one team, which means what? They can do all the jobs. Probably when I've seen in supermarkets, don't go for too big organization and all. Go for your nearby supermarkets and check. One person, probably I name that person as X, Mr. X or Miss X. He or she will be working in uh, arranging the racks and all. Okay, with a different thing. One another day, you can find her in cash counter. One another day, she'll be sweeping the floors. One another day, she'll do some other, which means all the team members over there will be doing all the works. And there'll be one supervisor who will be supervising all the activities. He will not do anything, he'll be completely supervised. Okay, so this is what I call as flexible workforce where they will have their own teams and they'll be all everybody will be doing their own job. Okay, so why we need to have this means we need to have this team coordination. So what they do is this self-managing. They make their own hiring, they make their own training, they give the work, they give the reporting. Everything is done by them. So you'll not have direct control. That's what I'm trying to say. And they're more flexible in nature. That's the main highlight. And has been spreading rapidly. So nowadays they are working. But when you go for this workforce, it will be like 5 to 15 employees only, not more than that. Okay. Sometimes not 15 also. 15 is the maximum capacity of the set, but it can be like 10 or 12. When it goes more number, then it becomes a tedious job to manage the team. Because they usually go for 10 to 12. 10 to 12 is the optimal size. 5 to 15, they say usually it's a composition, 5 to 15, but 8 to 12 is the optimal size. 10 to 12 or 8 to 12 is the optimal size. Okay. So, what the team members will do is they lay all the tasks. I can do this job, you can do this job. Yes, I can just do this job. So, everybody will be managing. So, they'll be getting rotation like job to job they'll be doing. And the team members can fill in for absent co workers. Please highlight. We may get this in one word question. What's the highlight here is when one co-worker is absent, another one can compensate the duties. So you can take over the managerial duties, like how you're going to schedule work. Yes, always you can plan for vacation also. If you're not available in the team, then who's going to do that job? Yes, it's a self-working team. Yes, they can do it. Then I can comfortably plan my vacation. Okay. Ordering materials, hiring new members, whatever it is. Oh, this all belongs to the managerial duties. Okay. And motivators is you have to have a trust over the team members because it's a self-working team means there is no particular leader like concept over here. So everybody will be doing all the jobs. So you have to give this responsibility to the team members and they'll be seen as motivators. How are you going to empower this team? Probably you give this lower level employee decision making power. Please highlight. When you are being appointed in that flexible workforce team, you are taken equally or you are taken part at that team, which means you have the right to decision making and you also have the right to taking the decision making also. So even a lower level employee, what do you mean by lower level is by grade wise it may be called as lower level. Okay, or by experience wise it might be called as a lower. Not will not see with respect to the salary. Okay. Salary is linked to grade, that's different. But we go for grade wise. Okay, grade wise it may be called as lower level or experience wise, or it might be newly joined. Even though you're newly joined, if you are joined in this self-managing team, means automatically you become a part. Okay. And there'll be additional motivators also. Probably what they do is they link this performance bonus and all. So if you're doing better, then we'll give it and we'll go this quality target goals. Okay. Effect, there'll be an increasing of productivity of 10, 30% or more. This is an illustration, not particularly 30% is not the data, it's an illustration only. Cost savings also arise because see, please highlight this is a flatter organization hierarchy. We'll not talk about this hierarchy or will not talk about this two-level hierarchy. There is only one level hierarchy. All the 8 members or 10 members or 12 members are fit at the par level. So this is a beautiful concept over here when we talk about self-management. Okay. Scope. So when we go for manufacturing companies, we think about how we are going to lower the cost structure by combining this self-management team. And in case if that potential is not sufficient, how we are going to integrate with flexible manufacturing techniques. And when we go for management responsibilities about the team members, how they are going to cope up with other team members and how they are going to manage it. And probably sometimes if you work in teams, it may not be going as planned. Okay, so you go for teamwork. If the team is not properly planned or properly working or not properly coordinating together, means it will not be going properly planned. Okay, that's going to be like a failure model. Like okay. Next is pay for performance. Obviously, this will increase productivity. You might be saying, I'm working at par. One employee, what he'll be saying is, I need not work at par. I don't take responsibility. You take the responsibility, you give me the salary, that's more than enough. Already I'm too much responsible at my home. Okay, so this happens. So it increases employee productivity. Complexity is not just introducing incentive pay systems, but you have to define what kind of job performance is to be rewarded. You cannot reward all the job performance. So you want to highlight your employee means always you cannot pay to link. Okay, which means he's performing well, he's giving quality targets, yes, you can link it. If he's not performing well, it's how you can link it. Okay, just to motivate him, you cannot pay it. So that's very important. The second point is very beautifully defined. Necessity to realize the productivity gains also. Probably sometimes, yeah, this is a beautiful one. Sometimes what we do is we link pay to group or team rather than individual performance. This also happens. And obviously, a strong incentive can be created over this. Key factors, the knowledge and experience of the people. What is the central concern here is people related issues. Sometimes it becomes the responsibility of the managers, not particularly to a specific HR function. Okay. Crucial role of the manager is he has to create a climate such that the problem is being not arise in a different way. It has to go in a smooth system. And while there is a hindrance in the strategy means the structure is not tailored. Tailored means it should be suitable to my organization. If it is not suitable to my organization, I have to define the structure in a different way. If I am not changing the structure, then I'll be in a hiccup. See, usual structure is this one, right? Top manager, middle manager, and bottom level. Probably the one earlier, flexible workforce. It's all the same. Then how this is going to match with this strategy? Okay, in this self flexible workforce, everybody will be the boss, everybody will be the worker. But in this case, this person will be the boss. If anything happens at the lower level, then this person is answerable to this person. Okay, but in this level, there is no hierarchy at all. What happens is who is responsible and who is answerable. Everybody are responsible, everybody are answerable, but who is particularly going to resolve the issue? That's a major problem happens here. Okay, so this is actually a hindrance for the strategy. If the HR system and structure is not properly tailored, means then you have to worry why it is being done and how you are going to resort to it. Okay, usually this happens, but this is often related asked question. We talk about three issues when we talk about this people dimension. The people dimension is HR strategy, dimension strategy. We consider people as a resource. This is a harder issue. Okay. People and behavior clubbed together is a softer issue. And apart from these two, we need to organize the people. First, let us go for the harder issue. People as a resource. Why we need to have people as a resource? Because sometimes what happens is if the peoples are not working, see, all the individual objectives together is nothing but the organizational objectives. Right? For every organization, there is an objective. For each and every individual, there is an objective. All put together, I have 1,000 employees in my organization. All their objectives put together should be my organization objective. So I have to design the strategy in such a way so that your objective and that is my organization objective matches. Okay, your objective means I cannot talk separate individual person to person. I should talk about the whole. Okay, that's about the summation of all the values. Okay, summation of all the individual objectives. So the importance cannot be undermined. There sometimes may be dissimilarity in the management, so you have to compare with the other resources of the organization. So we call this as harder issue because when you go for traditional HR activity, it was totally different. Nowadays, it's totally different. Okay, earlier and all, simple example. Earlier and all, you have to go for the physical office and you work it. Nowadays, it's not so. You just go travel in a bike, you go work from home, work from bike, work from car. It happens successfully, not an issue. So if you're a TL in an IT company, you just follow all the things what is going on in the background, and when there is any issue, you address the issue. That's done. Okay, the problem is now faced in a different angle because of the tech development. Okay, so the traditional HR activity can be helpful for underpinning successful strategies. We do HR audit. Even though we are beautifully organizing our core activities in work from home or other cases, still HR audit will be helpful. If you do this HR requirement, what's the HR requirement? Definitely it will be supporting our strategy means yes, it will be helpful. Okay. Second, identify the people because each and every people will be having different capabilities and that might not be matching today, it might be matching in the future. Okay. Then you go for goal setting. Probably like they will be calling as line managers. Line managers means to that particular linked strategy who and all will be involved. Those will be called as line managers. And we say this is all-round appraisal, 360 degrees appraisal. We look in all the angles. There is all the perspective, 360 perspective. So multiple perspective of assessing the individual performance, how the full impact of the employee's work will be considered. Not just the line manager alone, but everybody individual, every each and individual involved will be considered. And what is this team effect? What is the impact he is giving on his team? Everything will be considered. Okay. Next is planning of rewards. Yes, we already discussed, right? Individual list. Next is recruitment and retention. Okay, sometimes we go for recruiting in a better way, or sometimes we go for promotion like, or sometimes we have to go some retention. So we say call this as we call this as retention payment. We should not go to another company at work. We should retain with me. Okay, that's why we pay for each and every year. We give a small hike in the salary. Why is this hike? Because we want to retain. Like if you don't want to see, you are working or you are associated with an organization for 4 years, and suddenly in the fifth year you jump to another organization all of a sudden I cannot search a person who is having the capacity of yours for the 4 years experience. So what happens is I need to retain you. So how can I retain you? Either I need to promote you. If the promotion capacity is not available, so I need to give a small hike in the salary. So this has to be done. So how we can improve your strategic capabilities, recruiting and retaining. So you can just go through this bit later. Then reduction in formal programs. Sometimes what they do is they often go for these formal programs. Usually, too many programs will not be helpful. So if you go for this training or if you go for you provide this training experience and all that is fine. But most of the programs like formal programs you can avoid it actually. Keeping too many meetings can be avoided. Only when it is necessary. And keeping too many meetings and cancelling very often should be definitely avoided. You should not cancel the meeting. So once the manager calls for the meeting, you should be very serious because that manager will not call at all. If it calls, that's a serious issue. So there should not be any absentees. See, if there is an absentee in the meeting, it's a critical issue because why they are not attending and why the manager is calling for the meeting. Both are critical issues, right? So, as an HR professional, you need to be familiar with the organization strategy because you need to know why you are working for, what will be the future change that might be expected, and what will be the people's competencies, how it is going to attempt this alignment. Probably it might be based on IT based system also. And what about the production performance management process is also being considered. Okay. You just have a past plan that will be enough. Then envisage the future, which means you think how the future is going to be, which means you just check the performance management capabilities, how you're going to exploit these capabilities and you transform into a better future. So what you do is you go for mentoring. So we said like you should not be a boss, you should be a coach like. Okay. So you give the mentoring and you give coaching for them, you provide an environment. You just try to understand what are their drawbacks, what is the drawback of the organization, because organization cannot each and every time support the people, right? So something or the other they will be missing. And you as a mentor, you have to support them. Mentally, you have to make them comfort. Because not environment is not only the physical environment. We are talking about the people's how they feel mentally, how they are capable of. Okay, so that's about the harder issue now. Next heading is software issue, the second issue. Software issue is not only dealing with people, it is dealing with people and also or along with the behavior of the people. Okay. Harder issues only the people. Okay. Now we are discussing people along with the behavior. This that becomes a software issue. When we say along with the behavior, we have to check with the influencing factors, which means their individual competence and not only the collective behavior. Please highlight, which is we're talking about the team effort. Okay. So changing results from failure to understand. First thing, please highlight to understand, to address, and also change culture. That's what the behavior is. Okay. Individually, if you see people to people, it becomes a harder issue. If you see the people as a group and how they behave in the group, then it becomes a softer issue. Okay. So the softer issue includes changing the paradigm. So what's his current status? Okay, understanding how they need to change the paradigm. That is a business environment because it's actually changing. Seeing their own role as people-oriented shapers of context. So nowadays the role of the persons are completely changing, right? They're not just treated as business analysts. They are completely developed in a different way. So this is what you call as softer aspects. One is behaviors and strategic choices. So how are you going to manage this one? Which efforts are going to be prioritized. Okay. Then realistic behavior. Sometimes it happens, right? You might be working in a team, but that team will not be helpful. Sometimes you need to put separately, independently to work in a better way. Okay. Realistic behavior will be different. So you're bringing realistic about the difficulty and time scales in achieving behavior change might be difficult. Okay, so sometimes it should be realistic. So cultural change, if you talk about the culture change, the long change, it's a long process where it starts from changing the behavior. So when we say you're going to change the organizational culture, actually you have to change the behavior of the people first. Then only you can talk about the cultural change over there. So actually it's a realistic behavior. Okay. And the style of management in different circumstances. So this is something you can just go through. So we are talking both internal and external, capable of different styles simultaneously. Now, how we are going to organize the people? So that's the third one. Organizing the people is the third issue. Why it is important? Because you need to be competently superior. Because when we go for defining strategy, this is one major issue that you have to address carefully. Because the environment is changing and you're not properly organizing the people, it's not going to be helpful. And when we say organizing the people, it's not only organizing within the organization, it's also organizing outside also. Okay, both inside and outside. That's why we say it's generally complex. Okay, so we have three issues for. Shall I take over? When we talk about HR strategy, we have to discuss three areas. One is HR function, one is the line managers, and third is the what is the structure and process involved. Because when we talk about HR, when we have this structure, there is a three-level hierarchy. When we talk about this structure, there is a two-level hierarchy. Sometimes when we're talking about this structure, okay, structure differs. This is also called as one and second level hierarchy. Sometimes there will be, in case this is HR department, there will be HR department 1, HR department 2, HR department 3. Okay, probably there is another one for production. Production department 1, production department 2, production department 3. If this production department needs 1,000 employees and here there are 500, here there are 250, here there are 10,000. Probably it will plan to send 500 from here and remaining 500 from here. You have the HR department will decide this 1,000 people from there it has to go to where. This is what it is cross-functional strategies. Okay, so this is also part of hierarchy and structure. This will do it in the next topic. 10.2 will be discussing on this. Okay, so we'll talk about the structure and processes. So we are focusing on three areas. The first one, HR function. You have to define or you have to check. It's a challenging question whether it's needed. Okay, a specialist HR function is needed because sometimes we are working in traditional scale, sometimes we are going for the conventional method. We are going with the traditional, from tradition, we are going with the modernized operation. So it is needed because when we go for modernized operation, most things are automated. So how far this HR strategy is going to be helpful? Okay. Then principle and practice. When we talk about people, they can manage strategically without a specialist HR, but we have to check how this HR issue will be resolved, especially in this case, the third category which I'm discussing. Okay. If see, you might be thinking like this production department 3, if receiving 500 from second HR department, just imagine, and remaining 500 from third HR department. Okay, there'll be a problem with 500 workers and 500 workers because this 500 workers may be trained different way. This 500 workers might have trained in a different way. Now, all this will not be properly mingling. So this production department will be now worried or will be now in a frustration. Why is HR department 2 and 3 are doing this? Why they're not, see, there are 10,000 employees in HR department 3, right? Why they're not giving 1,000 employees to me? So these are the things happening in all the industries, not only IT or particular industries, all the industries. Okay. Here, when we say about three areas, when we say HR function, we are talking about the specialist in the HR function. Okay. So is this really needed? Sometimes when we are facing this HR issue, we need to have a specialist HR function. Okay. So then continue. Reverse aspect, if we are not working on this way, we are not okay or unfamiliar with the corporate level strategies, then the professional HR knowledge may not be required, means it's going to be a big drawback because you're talking about a strategy. If the strategy is not proper, see who is going to implement the strategy? The lower level. For the lower level, we need HR. In all the departments, we need HR. If the HR is not properly professional, if you talk about production department, we need proper mechanical engineers over there. You agree with me? In case you are working for costing department, we need proper cost accountants over there. You are working for finance department. Equally, cost accountants, chartered accounts are needed. That is, accounts background knowledge people are needed. If you are not professional HR knowledge, then definitely it's not going to be a proper strategy implementation. So that's why we talk about it. And we focus on four broad roles. So here, when we talk about business strategy and the HR function, this is often exam question, often repeated exam question. As a service provider, so how do you see this specialist HR function? As a service provider, as a regulator, as an advisor, as a change agent. This is a beautiful concept. Okay, it's a beautiful concept. When we say as a service provider, so this is directly dealing with HR function, but it says this is applicable for line managers. Okay, line managers is that particular content managing. Okay, so how they are going to carry over the strategic responsibility for the HR issue. Okay, probably you're going to undertake the recruitment alone, or you're going to go for training arrangements alone. If you're going for regulator, you have to properly set the rules, probably for leave policy, or you just go for overtime policy. Everything has to be decided. If you go as an advisor, HR strategy to issue advice to the line manager on what practice you can do it, and this has to be best practice. On code of ethics, we have as code on best practices. And as a change and management, you have to push your forward organization in the forward way, which means on to the next level. You cannot work in the same way. Is it okay? So determinants of the most appropriate rule, you have to check who are the staffs there. So what are the types of staffs, the nature of strategy, and the structural arrangement. What is the main challenge with the HR specialist is he has to operate in such a way that he plays all the roles simultaneously. It's not like, see, we are not talking like a flexible workforce. We are talking about particular HR function. He should be capable of providing HR to the production department. See, all the departments are linked here. See, HR department and IT department, information technology department are the two departments where it has to supply its service to all the departments. Okay, see, when we talk about production and when we talk about finance, it may not be cross functional because once a production department says, yes, my stock is being reached for the reorder level, directly a message goes for the finance department and order will be supplied to the supplier. The supplier will supply the order to the production department and finance department will pay the money. That's it. There will be no direct connection with production and finance department. The software is such a way programmed that once it reaches the buffer level, sorry, reorder level, it will directly place the order. That's it. And this supplier will deliver the raw materials and it sends the bill to the invoice to the finance department over. When we go for HR, it's not the thing. HR and IT, they are operating across function. So, which department is working on this? The IT department. Okay. Who's supplying for finance department and production department? The people, HR department. So HR department and IT department are the two departments where they completely work cross-functional with all the departments. So they have to be such a way equipped in all the ways. They need to understand each and everything. Okay. Sometimes when we talk about the HR specialist as a regulator, there arises a conflict, right? So probably you cannot advise or you cannot change a group of people because each and every people is different. I cannot make them to differ in their thoughts upon it. Next, we'll go for middle or line managers, the link managers. Okay. So, line managers centrally involves in managing people issues themselves. So, we are not talking about this managers, this level. We are not talking about middle means not this middle. Probably there will be one person who's interacting with both the departments. That's what we call middle managers. So he'll be involving centrally. So there is team A working and team B working. Both are working on the same project. There will be one person which will be a common person for both team A and team B. Or there will be, he'll be called as a head for team A and team B. So he has to interact with both the team. So that he manages that. That's why we call this as line manager or middle manager. Middle manager is common. That's why we call centrally involving in managing people. Okay. So probably there should be a clear advantage of how the ownership. Ownership means responsibility has to be taken and he has to blend this with business strategy. Okay, the people strategy and business strategy has to be linked. Okay. Sometimes we get these issues and worries, and probably can head this as limitations also. How far is realistic to expect line managers to be competent HR professional? Whether they are competent, we don't know. Okay. Second is sometimes if you're having the short-term pressures, how you're going to meet out the targets. So for line managers, target will not be helpful. For line managers, the work is to go for resolving the issues. Only work is that. Okay, you cannot ask them to give some targets for a short time period. You cannot do so. Okay. Sometimes forming associations like trade unions, professional associations, they'll go for the strike and all. Okay, so sometimes it's not going to be helpful. So when you go for like trade unions, they will work under some particular union responsibilities and they will take the issues to that responsible person and it goes on. So there should be some centralized approach. Okay, managers lack the incentive. Yes, often it happens. So they don't have this like the pay linked performance system. They don't have this target measurement. So obviously they lack the incentive. Okay, like it's not like normal HR activity. Maybe I specialize in this. Okay, so we can go for the summary part. Shall I go for the third one? Structure and process. Okay, so structure. Earlier on, we had this traditional structure. So X report to A report to B. Okay, if A wants to make a decision, probably he wants to place an order from a supplier worth 20 lakh rupees. And this is happening in L&D. Okay, this is happening in L&D. Okay, manager A will be given certain authority where he wants to make a supplier's thing, which means what? He wants to place an order from a supplier. Up to 20 lakhs, he have the rights. Okay. In case if it is more than 20 lakhs, he has to get the authority from this person. Probably it's very less in amount, some 2 lakh or 3 lakhs. Then X can directly sign and place the order. He will not go to A. Probably from 0 to 5 lakhs, X has the authority to place the order. Above 5 lakhs, which means 5 lakhs to 20 lakhs, A has the right to, that is, it's authorized to buy the product, which means he can place the order. Above 20 lakhs, they have to get the authorization from B. If this is the thing happening, this is actually happening in L&T. Okay. So, which means like it's decentralized authority. For each and every, see, for 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs matter and all, you cannot go to B, right? B is a senior manager like. For 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs, you'll go over there, you're wasting this time. So what they do is they decentralize the authority. Decentralization is not focused on one person alone. It is for many persons. Usually it will go in hierarchy. Okay. So the traditional structures or the roles do not match future strategies, not going to be helpful. So sometimes we have to work in a different way. Sometimes what happens is circumstances changes and strategy changes, so you need to change the processes. Okay, sometimes when you face some HR issue, like you have to give proper recruitment, you have to properly recruit, or you have to give proper training and all. Probably have to rely on some other outsiders, like third party contractors. It may not be available in your area. So what you do is hire from the outsiders, third party contractors, and some external agencies also there. Okay, they'll be having some wider experience, but some disadvantage will be there because when you go for external agency, this will not be applicable. So some specific organization maybe it's okay, but sometimes it may not be applicable for them. So what happens is for probably you go for the security services and all. So for ATM and for banks and all, you provide security services. Ex-army men only will be eligible for the security service. Okay. To go for an ex-army men, there is a particular organization, agencies are there where you go and ask them for the ex-army men and they'll be recruited. You cannot directly go and approach the ex-army men. So there are agencies working for this. What happens is I'm approaching this agency and for my organization, they are sending a Mr. person, Mr. X, who is an ex-army man. Is that person suitable for my organization? Okay, I have to check on that. Okay, so that's a problem. So I don't know how far he will be familiar with my circumstances of the organization. Sometimes, if it is unfailure means, which means what? If it's not failure means familiar means obviously it's going to be a failure. Okay, so there are advantages. There are also disadvantages. I have to look on both sides. Okay, it's about structural. Think overall. Still more. So 10.1 done. So next class I'll go for remaining.